Hello everyone and welcome to episode 99 of Podcast of Five Rings, your source of enlightenment in the realm of video games, tabletop, anime, film, and tech. Each episode of Podcast of Five Rings releases Monday mornings on iTunes and Soundcloud, and talk about topic day by day on YouTube, with the full video releasing on Friday. To catch updates about the podcast or for other news, give us a follow on your social media platform of choice, listed in the description below. I am your host, GM, and overseer of Podcast of Five Rings, Obsidian. And I am joined by... Who are you people? I don't remember. You. It's been 99 episodes. I can't remember anything else.
I just wanted to sing that like through the whole intro. That was all I was thinking about this whole time was the final countdown.
If we wouldn't get copyright took down, then I would put that in as the intro.
Save it for 100. Get ourselves banned right immediately from YouTube. Whoa. Like a cat run through that end part? What's going on there? Oh, man.
We got Mao. He's a resident wildcard or something.
Yo.
We got Meta. He's a Dark Fortune duelist guy.
Yo, duels don't exist in L5R.
No, they don't. We
change my mind.
We establish
I don't know
this
why
every
I
day.
keep wasting XP on
I don't know why I keep building duelists when they never happen.
Damn goalpost movers.
Oh, God. I don't know, man. It's just, I feel like I put points into it, and then nobody wants to duel me. It's like, I feel like...
Why do you think no one has it in our current game?
Him.
I literally...
Only Mao.
I'm physically unable of making a character without at least 3, and I used to.
I swear to God, I'm gonna run a game where I'm gonna force players to just have to take up dueling or die. It's just gonna be like, oh, you're British this week? You don't have to duel?
Then I will play that game.
I will just bully duel players. Like, you better have dueling ability, you better have courtier ability and etiquette, because you're gonna get fucked up if you don't.
Let's go.
I mean, yeah, it's an important part of the setting. It should come up, to be honest.
It really should come up. I think the problem is that like a lot of people, when you get into like the situation of dueling stuff, people's like, is that really doable? Why can't we talk about it? It's like, that's not how it's done. Like, yes, it makes sense to talk about it, but when you want X and somebody else wants Y and nobody can fucking agree on it, dueling is how it's solved.
Yeah, people never want to like aggro on NPCs. I kind of understand players to an extent, but even on NPCs, they like sometimes people, I guess, forget that they can use that to push the line and kind of force an issue, especially if you're a really good duelist, you know?
Yeah.
You can kind of get away with being a dick.
I mean, that's...
Meta wouldn't know anything about that.
I would never know anything about that.
I know, right?
Never. I would be... Mao, please.
See, you just weren't a dick to the right people, Meta. That or your GM just completely forgot about dueling.
The GM
I'm
one or the
gonna
other.
blame the GM on this one.
Yeah, I'll gladly take that blame.
It is what it is. It turned out well enough for what it was.
Yeah.
I just need to get one duel with him. That's all I need. Just need one.
Mal's gonna get a Sith dog.
I'm sorry, a
Sith?
Sith
Oh,
dog.
He's gonna get a Sith dog.
Sith?
Dude, your dog is
With
gonna
a
like
Kylo
fucking
Ren
wield the Force,
lightsaber.
man.
Okay.
He's gonna be
evil,
shooting
so
lightning. He's
problem.
gonna be barking lightning.
I'm not going to say no to that.
He's gonna force choke your enemies like Baby Yoda.
You're getting Sith. S-I-F.
No, I like this. I like Sith dog better.
I can give him my
Name him Sith.
Nodachi.
You could. Leave your suit of armor behind.
Train him in the ways of the Force.
To protect them or whatever.
Mm.
Alright, anyways, because no one has any clue what we're talking about.
Right, we're just talking about a game we're playing and no one else has any idea.
I mean, but how cool would it be is if you could like train an animal in any type of tabletop game to fucking wield a sword. Just saying.
Oh,
I mean, as long as you're the GM, you can do anything.
I had a scorpion samurai in one game who was like putting... he had like a giant mastiff dog. And he got him a little suit of armor. And he put a little bone dasho in his obi. And like the crane duelist guy's like, I'm gonna murder that dog. Because it's in a front, it's just a giant joke. The samurai's like, you will not kill my dog.
I mean, this is modern day setting.
I know.
I'm gonna mount a a laser on.
It's also a wolf. When that thing grows up, it's gonna rip somebody's arm off.
Yeah.
Yeah, dog. What happens though?
Anyway, again, we should probably.
Yeah, probably. I'm sorry.
Go that long on
I'm
this.
sorry.
Yeah.
I wasn't factoring in this part of the game.
I was. It's my fault. I'll take the blame for that one.
Well, then you go first.
That's all right.
All right.
Yeah,
That's a fair trade.
let's just get right into topics. Yeah.
All right. I got you. So, actually, I feel like this is actually a pretty big one. I'm not gonna do like this. So, how did you guys? FFG actually laid off a few people. Really?
2 divisions.
Yeah. In fact, they are actually shutting down the interactive game digital game.
Which
bleh.
was not that surprising. Oh, digital game.
Yeah, I couldn't say it, but you got it.
Their game development studio.
Right. They were in beta for a long time or whatever, and then like they had a bunch of empty promises and everything.
It's kind of unfortunate because it really was an interesting step for tabletop gaming.
It definitely could have been way better. And
I
would have liked to have seen it.
If you've played like Mansions of Madness or whatever, then you would absolutely know it's probably one of the actually it probably helps make that game really amazing with second edition. Yeah.
I have not played it.
Is that which one is that? Or is that Mansions of Mystery?
No. Mansions of Madness.
Mansions of Mystery is like a typical board game with like an app that runs everything.
Mansions of Madness on second edition does the same thing.
Okay.
Mansions of Madness ran using that app, which was obviously supplied by the digital group and whatnot.
I've watched some streams of Mansions of Mystery, and that's really cool. Like the way the app handles everything.
Yeah, the app is really cool, and I've played it now twice. And honestly, the app kind of like allows you to get through you can move through like the game very fast if you have everybody knows what they're doing, and you're just all like, all right, let's split up. Blah blah. You do this. You do this. You do this. You can get through stuff really fast, and the app is great because the app actually allows you to provide a little bit of RNG to the scenarios, so that when you're playing the same scenario the second time, instead of like playing it in a preset order and then having to look at the rules and see,
it'll like tell you how to set it up. The map.
That's cool.
And then as the time goes on, because the way Mansions of Madness is designed is that the more time you take, the more the game starts to make things difficult and punishes you for taking things slow. So you kind of have to move. But there's generally always points where something different can happen. Like this didn't happen the last time we played it.
That's an Arkham game, I assume.
Or is it? It's not specifically named Arkham, but it may as well be part of like the series and the general.
All the same characters.
Yes.
And everything.
Yes.
Mansions of Mystery is the same way, and like it randomizes combat. So like you're like, I'm attacking, with this weapon, and it's like it just will kind of randomize the stat you use, which is interesting. It just again provides more RNG and everything.
It implies a sense of replayability and gives a little bit of flavor to it all, but I'm not sure how that's going to be affected by this, because obviously with the division closing its doors, they're not going to be there.
Is the app going to? I mean, I assume they'll keep the app up. Like eventually, might just break on certain people's devices, but I doubt they'll pull the app at least.
I'm guessing that might be the case, although they could obviously outsource just to get it updated and running on certain things, but I don't know what they're going to do with it. I really don't.
It's too soon to tell in that regard.
And unfortunately, it's not as easy as like what they did with the RPG division. They actually kind of shut the majority of that down too. But they
laid off everything but like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, majority of the RPG division was let go, and there was obviously when it first came out, there was like tons of like what the fuck, because you lay off your RPG division. How many RPGs are they running?
I wonder how big their
big ones
actually was.
Yeah.
L5R, Genesis, and the Star Wars Destiny.
And they're turning out they're definitely they're turning out more books than like D&D, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was just really weird actually to think about.
Yeah.
Well, when you got a dedicated staff, it's a lot easier, probably.
Right. When you think about like D&D, when 5e came out, they had a staff of like 12 people.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious how big Fantasy Flights was up to.
I don't know.
I'd wager it's like maybe a little more than that, probably, but I don't know. I would assume
quite a bit more with just comparing how like they had 3 different lines active lines. And
I'm sure they outsource a
books.
good bit of stuff too, but
Right.
Possibly. I don't know. We don't really know the internals of it. They never really share that. It's
So
kind of weird.
how did all go down? Nothing official got announced.
yeah,
right?
I think someone just reported on it. If I
Somebody
remember correctly.
somebody reported on it, and eventually, like, the studio itself put out a message saying that, hey, we're gonna be shutting down. It's been reported on by like PC Gamer and whatnot as well.
Right, but it was just like someone like basically updated their LinkedIn or something.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
Oh yeah. It started off with
exactly.
somebody updating the LinkedIn. I get what you're saying. Yeah, that was probably not the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
But that is.
I mean, they're fired. What do they care?
There was a big Reddit thread from allegedly one of the former like FFG employee that it kind of all. That's at least where I learned about the stuff. It was linked on Facebook, this giant Reddit thread, and there was like one or two people from FFG at some point in there talking about it. One was not very happy.
Well, they have stated, though, out of all of this, that they are going to be still supporting stuff. So here's the thing, for like we were just talking about a moment ago. If you're playing the RPG line, you're going to be looking at them are still going to be supporting like the RPGs. They're going to be still doing Star Wars. They're still going to be doing L5R and so on and so forth. They're just outsourcing the information instead of using outside resources to essentially develop and beta test, I guess, the products that they're going to be putting out there. I'm personally wary of that, if only because when you have different people working on the same thing, you have a lot of different visions coming in. That's going to jump from like product to product if you don't have I guess a steady, like, if you don't use like a singular outsourcing group to push out that product and work with, eventually certain things you're gonna notice. Just, it might be subtle, maybe not, but you will like see some subtle shifts in like how things are presented or balanced or designed, because there will be different mindsets with different groups that come in to touch a product.
Yeah, what was it? All the like player companions that Pathfinder put out like every month.
Yeah.
Were, I believe, freelanced.
Mm-hmm.
I think most, if not 90% of 4th edition L5R was all freelance too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, AG like was notorious for. I mean, because basically their story team was essentially freelance.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get paid. They got paid in product. They didn't get paid like actual money.
That's actually funny because it would kind of explain like sometimes the jumps between books as well.
Yeah, and some inconsistency in the lore and stuff.
Yeah, it would actually explain a lot. I do know, since I was actually part, I'm going to say it now, it doesn't matter, but I actually got about midway into the lifespan of 4th edition, I was invited to help look over and just like read over the products that were put out there before they were actually going to on shelves. It was mostly like, checking out typos, reading things up, making sure that like everything was it's like the lowest of the low. It's just quality assurance essentially.
Yeah.
But I was part of the forums that allowed you to do that, and I got to see some of the stuff before it was going to come out, and it was mostly just double checking. But even then, it was really interesting to see what you could see with the game and see like when they have different people in there. And then obviously, if you go look in the books now, you can see like who helped beta test and run. I shouldn't say really beta test because it's not what they dub them as, but testers and testing groups, and they would run like the content was a part of the game and see how it works out, and they give feedback on what it was and what. But you can also see like why the way they thankfully everything is going to be supported though, so that's at least a thing.
At least for now. We'll see if that holds.
I can't remember what site stated it, but one of the there's a few sites that reported on it, but I think one of them stated that PC Gamer stated that or at least they got an update from them saying that they are going to be continuing to like support things like the Lord of the Rings adventure card game, which they will continue to support on the game servers, including like most of its functions to at least ensure optimal performance. So I'm assuming that presence of mind is going to be set across the board. I would like to give them the benefit of the doubt as opposed to not, and that they're going to be likely maintaining all the functions that certain games use. I don't know what it means for games though that were very, very heavily tied into those concepts, or if it even matters. Because I mean, the board game department didn't get really hit. It was just interactive and the RPG department.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It sucks for the people who lost their
Yeah,
jobs and stuff.
obviously, because it's Fantasy Flight Games is not by any means a small company. They've got some pretty well-known presence.
Yeah, they're arguably like a top 3 gaming. Asmodee
And,
as a whole more so a top 3 gaming company.
Asmodee keeps getting sold. Like it just, I think, got resold or bought by someone new 8 months ago or something.
Which is its own
So,
massive.
And there were rumors it was about to get sold again too. So.
Right, and just it could just be stripping down what's not needed, to make selling it look more viable and everything. That sort of thing, unfortunately.
Which is it's a bit unfortunate since that is not an ideal.
Right. Not good for us, sort of a thing.
No, it's not really good for the consumer. It's pretty bad, actually. I don't know. There's really nothing to say about it. It was kind of just an event to go in there. Most importantly is just to know that your product is going to be supported. We're still going to be seeing RPG stuff from L5R and Star Wars Saga. And
because they have a new book coming out really soon.
Yeah, the Ronin book.
So that stuff is not going anywhere. It's still going to be here. It's not any death knell that anybody might be worried about, the state and the future of this games and the systems. So there's that. That's really the most important thing, I think, is the takeaway is that this is really likely unfortunate for a lot of people, but it was likely done to trim away what they I guess the current owners feel is not necessary for one reason or another, which obviously is not a good reason to do what it is, but unfortunately this is kind of a really sad scenario for kind of a company to be in.
Yeah, there's ebbs and flows to this kind of stuff. Because we've gone through the big, boom of board games and their resurgence of role playing games with 5e and stuff like that. They're more popular than they've ever been right now. So
they're not even a niche thing anymore. They're truly out mainstream now. It's insane.
And there's bound to be a lull eventually. Maybe this is a sign of it. Perhaps, I don't know. But at best, stuff's going to continue as normal. It's just. Sadly, people don't have their jobs anymore. At worst, maybe FFG just moves to board games and card games, that's what happened to AEG. AEG couldn't do L5R anymore. It was not financially viable for them to keep doing that. So they had to, change what they were going to do, or they had to sell it, and, they sold it. So maybe Asmodee and FFG are going through something similar. Who knows? Yeah,
Jeez, who would buy it? Who would buy L5R now?
I would.
Just
to have owning rights of it.
I would too if I had the money.
L5R.
Hold on now. If nobody can buy it, then I'll buy it because nobody else wants it.
Who can buy it? Who wants to buy it? Because they're not going to sell it for $10.
I'm telling you right now, it's only as valuable as somebody is willing to pay for it. Okay. So if I'm willing,
Fantasy Flight that
I will. And when they sell it off and nobody's buying it, I'll be like, well, look who comes crawling back to me.
Here I am with my $100 bill.
First order of business, making that elephant the fucking emperor. We're doing it. We're doing it.
If we ever get to that point, the only company I can see buying it is AEG buying it back, and I just don't think that's going to happen.
Let's convince WotC to buy it
again.
No.
Yeah, again.
They ruined it pretty badly the first time.
I feel like
D20. We're returned to D20, baby.
I feel like John Zinser from AG is just not looking for that to come back to his lap at all. I think that's he made that sell very quick, very quick. And
he's been doing a lot of reminiscing about it lately.
He does. He has. I think he misses his baby, but.
We all do when they leave their
we all do. I was gonna say, when your child goes off to college, you're gonna miss them after a while.
They come back and they're weird. You don't recognize them, and they're going through some stuff. It's just not the same thing that you loved and cared for anymore. So you abandon them to the cold. They're adults. They can't move back.
Coming from a personal place, are you okay?
I'm just referring to L5R as if it was an unwanted child.
Blink.
Are you an unwanted child?
Yes.
Blink twice if you're in trouble. If you're under duress.
If I blinked
I don't
once
know.
or twice, you will never know.
I'm going to assume he blinked once because that's the easiest to accept.
I don't know. But yeah, it's just something to keep forward about. So, but if you are willing to sell FFG and you're listening, I'm
us
a
up.
willing buyer.
Meta's got big bucks.
I got big bucks to spend, and it's all on a L55.